Today we're talking about an immersive art company that's going bankrupt despite booming ticket sales, an arrowhead made of meteorite that could absolutely reshape history, and we'll top it off talking about Cardi B's microphone debacle and an eBay auction that's turning some heads. My name's Lennon, and this is the first ever Creative Recap, a news show for artists and creatives. So maybe you've heard about this company, Lighthouse Immersive. If you haven't heard of them, you will definitely know some of the exhibits that they have been producing. Specifically, they're the ones responsible for the huge Van Gogh paintings that get projected onto the walls to create this big immersive exhibit. Well, despite charging somewhere around $35 per ticket and selling over 7 million tickets, the company has filed for bankruptcy. So this is obviously coming as a big shock. Nobody really knows why this is happening, given that this seems to be such a profitable venture. But something has gone wrong along the way, and now they're trying to protect their US assets while sorting things out in Canada. Lighthouse Immersive had canceled shows in Houston and Atlanta back in June, so it's tough to say what's next. I'll do my best to keep an eye on this. I never went to one of these because I thought it was crazy to spend $35 to essentially go look at screensavers, but you know, that's just me. Archaeologists and geologists have discovered an arrowhead in Switzerland, which may not seem like a big deal, but this arrowhead is actually made, or seems to be made, from a meteorite. Using a bunch of stuff that my tiny brain will never comprehend, they've figured out that it is made from an iron, aluminum, nickel alloy. What's really cool is they've compared this to other meteorite samples and discovered that it's only one of 3 known artifacts in Central and Western Europe that's made from meteorite material. Apparently, Switzerland is famous for having a huge ass meteorite, something I didn't know anything about. And so scientists thought that it likely came from that meteorite. Turns out, not true. But what they did find is that it shares characteristics with an Estonian meteorite that fell about 3,500 years ago. So why lump this in with news for artists and creatives? I think stuff like this is really fascinating. And especially knowing that, you know, in that time, somebody was creating that with their hands. And what's fascinating about the placement of this arrowhead is that it could be a significant piece in understanding ancient trade networks. It's obviously still early. There's lots of things that'll be discovered, and I will likely have forgotten about this by the time some new news comes out. But should I remember, I'll talk more about it at a later date. An artist named Diego Marcial Rios, I hope I'm saying that name correctly, had his work presented at an exhibition in San Mateo City Hall, which, if you're like me and you are geographically impaired, that's in California. So these paintings of his were up for just 2 days before they were taken down. Apparently there were 2 pieces specifically that touched on the subject of the police killings of people of color. And this ended up ruffling the feathers of the local police department. Rios was willing to swap out those pieces to make things more comfortable, but regardless, they took down the entire show, which I think is a real shame. But in an interesting twist, a former city councilman is actually looking to purchase the pieces. This whole thing obviously sparks a lot of debate around the idea of freedom of speech and the opportunity for artists to really bring up and talk about issues that are important to our culture. So I'm curious, if you have any opinions on the topic, drop them in the comments below. And finally, let's talk about Cardi B. So you've probably heard about the whole incident where she was playing in Vegas and told the fans to throw cold water on her because it was way too hot, and some gal tosses some liquid on her and she just freaking chucks her microphone right at the gal. Which, I'll be honest, when I saw the footage, I was like, Cardi, you go. Like, I didn't know the whole story before that. But now, you know, it's got me a little like, I'm not sure what to think here. So even despite that, this story has gotten, I think, even more interesting and honestly pretty hilarious. That microphone is now up for auction on eBay. It started at around $500, and recently the highest bid was over $85,000. So you might ask, like, who in the heck's auctioning off this microphone? Well, it's the owner of the audio production company. The guy's name is Scott Fisher, and he's planning to donate all of the proceeds to the Wounded Warrior Project, which is a local nonprofit in the Vegas area. And that nonprofit is there to help young people with special needs. One of the fans at the concert has filed a lawsuit against Cardi B for battery. And so we'll see how all that plays out. Curious if you have a reaction to all this. It all seems wild to me. So that concludes our first creative recap. My name is Lennon Bone. And if you like this episode, would you let me know in the comments below? If so, I'll do another one. This was just a test. I've never done anything like this. And I thought, we need a new show for artists. Like, why isn't there anything out there for people like me who just want stuff around creativity? So let me know if you dig it, and hopefully I will see you soon.